Okay, so we're now going to start looking at our next bit on simplifying algebraic expressions, which is how we get rid of brackets which are in an expression. And the rule for that is that every term inside the bracket is multiplied by the term outside, which sounds pretty simple, but there's lots of areas where we can trip up. So we're going to start by an example which just involves numbers. 3 lots of 2 plus 5. Now, if you were doing that, the obvious way to do it just with numbers is to use BIDMAS, and to work out the contents of the bracket first. 2 plus 5 is 7, and so using BIDMAS, which I'm going to do here, I would work out the contents of the bracket, which is going to be 7, and it's going to be 3 times 7, which gives me an answer of 21. Now, if I were doing it by multiplying out brackets, let's have a look at what that would give me. Using my brackets, I multiply every term by what's outside. So I've got positive 3 times by positive 2, which would give me 6, and positive 3 times by positive 5, which gives me positive 15. I've got 6 and a positive 15, which gives me 21. So we can see that I get exactly the same result if I use BIDMAS and if I multiply out the brackets. Now, on the later questions, the later worked examples here, you'll see they're algebraic, and I can't use BIDMAS. I can't add x plus 5 because x is an unknown. These are not like terms. So the only thing I can do is to multiply out my brackets. So let's have a look at question 2. I'm going to start by multiplying out the brackets. So I've got a positive 2 and a positive x. Okay, positive 2, positive x, which gives me 2x. I've got a positive 2, which is my term outside, and a positive 5, which gives me positive 10. 2x and a positive 10, or 2x plus 10. Okay, it starts getting more difficult when I look at question number 3, because I've got a negative expression outside my bracket. So here I've got negative 3 times by a positive 2. So I already know, looking at the last chapter, a negative times by a positive gives me a negative answer. 3 times 2 is 6. So that's my negative 3 times by my positive 2. Now, I'm going to do my second term. Remember that the term includes the sign in front of it. So I've got negative 3 times by negative 5a. A negative times a negative gives me a positive. So this is going to be a plus. 3 times 5 gives me 15. I've got my a that I don't want to forget about. So it's negative 6 plus 15a. Let's have a look at the last one. So I've got positive 2x and a positive 3x. Positive 2 times by positive 3 gives me positive 6. I've got x, which is really x to the power of 1 times by x to the power of 1. I add my powers. 1 plus 1 gives me 6x squared. We're now going to try and do it with my minus 5x squared. So again, I'm doing my 2x times by my negative 5x squared. I've got a positive times by a negative, so it's going to give me a negative answer. 2 times 5 gives me 10. X to the power of 1 times by x squared, add the powers, 1 plus 2 gives me 3. 6x squared minus 10x cubed. Okay, can you pause the video, make sure you've got those written down, and then you can have a go at the examples below. So here are 12 questions for you to have a go at. I would expect that everybody will be able to do questions 1 to 5 without too much difficulty. From question 6 onwards, I want you to be really, really careful about your signs, about what is negative and what's positive. For question number 9 and 11, you'll see that you've got a negative sign in front. There is no number in there. The easiest way to deal with that is just to insert a negative 1. So timesing everything in there by negative 1 and doing exactly the same for question 11. For those of you who managed to do these could appear on the higher level GCSE. So questions 9 to 12 look much more like what you would see on the higher level GCSE or on the crossover material. Can you pause the video, have a go at the questions, and then mark your work? Okay, so here are the solutions. I'm not going to spend any time going through questions 1 to 5. Hopefully you've got those correct. Just be careful on questions 6 and 7 that you've got your signs right. So here my minus 2 times a gives me negative 2a. My negative times positive gives me a negative here. Negative times positive gave me a negative. Negative times positive gave me a negative. Negative times positive gave me a negative. Here I've got a negative times a negative. Negative 4 times by negative 6 gave me a positive. Once we've got to our negative brackets, the signs swap over. So this positive 3 becomes a negative 3, this positive x becomes a negative x. Here the signs swap over and multiply by 2, so I've got 4 plus 6x, negative 5 plus x, and 2x squared plus 2x. Give yourself a mark, please, out of 12. If you've got any difficulties on this unit, please can you review it on Hegarty clip number 160. Well done.